G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to have a look at a premium tank that sort of goes under the radar, and kind of for good reasons, honestly. Today we're going to have a look at the American M46 Tiger. Now the M46 Tiger itself, the regulatory one, sits at 7.0 like this one, but it sits at tier 5. This particular tank is at tier 4. Now, this is because back in the day, there was no rank 6, there was no rank 7, and one of the things that Gaijin did was basically artificially put this in tier 4 so that they could sell an M46 Premium. Now, the M46 Premium itself wasn't a terribly bad thing, but, you know, as battle ratings increased slowly, this thing got moved to 7.0, which it stands at today. Now, I think it should be at 6.7 for other reasons, but and tier 5, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So we're going to have a look at the map, and we're on Alaska. So Alaska is perhaps what I think it is the newest map. It is the newest map to come to War Thunder for ground forces, and basically what I'm doing is because the fight's in the town, I want to use the M46 in the hills, basically. I don't want to take it to the city. I don't want to do straight brawls. That is literally the last thing that you want to do in the M46. The M46 has fairly decent hull armor and fairly decent turret armor and good mobility, but one of the issues it faces is the gun is unstabilized and it doesn't have the armor to back up taking a shot. Whereas, for example, the King Tiger in many cases can. Tanks like the T-54 can sometimes soak up a shot as well. And then you're matched up against things like the OF-40, the Object 120, and you just don't want to be in close proximity to them. What you want to do is you want to be getting side shots, you want to be flanking the map. Maybe not as far as this, but certainly to some extent, like flanking the map and taking out enemies in positions that they are not aware about. Now, as you can see in my shell loadout, I've loaded out roughly equal amounts of HEATFS and APHE. That APHE is M82. M82 is probably one of the best APHE rounds in the entire game. It's considered a nuke round. Basically, when it got buffed 2 years ago, it turned into one of the strongest rounds of the game. You can see roughly what happens when I switch between APHE and HEATFS, but mostly you'll see me stick with HEATFS, simply because the heat shell is just more suited to the targets that I'm fighting. Now, if I was at, say, 6.7, the targets that I would be fighting might warrant the use of something like APHE. Anyway, I spot a King Tiger who drives out literally in front of me. The HEATFS hits the commander and loader. It oranges the gunner. So, bit disappointing there. I managed to hit him in the driver, so he's not moving anywhere. I try to go for some sort of cupola shot or some sort of turret roof shot, but it just doesn't work. And now he's starting to advance towards me. I can see that his gun's up, so I go to take the shot, and I take out his driver again with the HEATFS. Now, the HEATFS shell is a really good shell that can be used to pen the front of a King Tiger, but I believe if it's angled well enough and given the right situation, the HEATFS can be sort of roughly soaked up, if not outright bounced. Now, there are some things that you can do in an M46, in a King Tiger versus an M46. One of them would be not to charge like that. Another would be to have the gun ready, pointed, and basically you can both roughly take out each other. Now, I am basically not going to move from this entire spot all game because I've discovered what is called a power position. Now, obviously, I don't play this map much. In fact, I don't play tanks a whole lot, but lately I've been getting back into tanks. The thing is, you've got to look for what are called power positions. Now, a power position is a spot that you can basically deny enemy advancement from with relative safety, and this is one of them. Some spots include the Monument on Normandy. Some of them also include the B cap on Poland, or the central cap on Poland. These are all particular positions that can be used to deny areas, and you can sort of set up yourself in front of the enemies. You can see where I am here. The team has taken B, and we're basically looking at trying to push them back into their spawn. And in order to cut out the front line from underneath them, you can do a little flank, find an interesting spot, and basically sit there and farm the enemy tanks. This is extremely useful when your team is starting to look weak at their so-called front line. You can sort of dash behind and use your high-powered armor-piercing high explosive, or your nicely penning high explosive anti-tank. It works, and it is a fantastic solution. The only trick is to not go complete monkey brain and go to the corner of the map, look for some obscure spot and just camp there all game. Now, here's an interesting engagement. I'm in my M46 and I don't want to give him a flat upper front plate because he will pen that, and to some extent I don't want to under-angle the lower glacis as well, because you can pen and one-shot that with the 100mm gun. But I wait for him to go back, I wait for the gun depression to get the better of him, and then I take this shot. M82, I love you. Just straight through the upper front plate of that SU-100, and it's a very, very easy kill. Now I reverse back because I'm seeing a mark. I can see there's a medium tank, and eventually there'll also be a heavy tank, so I'm going to keep my eye out on that side. It's not the only tank that might pass through there, and I really don't want to risk getting, killed by a tank that I didn't see, so I've always got to keep my eyes peeled. And this particular spot has sort of enough of a depression and few enough trees for me to see well enough, so you can see, I can see the road pretty clearly. But I can also see, I have no idea what that shot was, but whatever. I can see basically everyone that's coming towards me unless they're heading directly on the other side of that rock. And I'll see them by the time I walk around because I'm constantly putting my head on a swivel, constantly looking around, constantly checking behind me to make sure that there is no one that is coming to kill me. Now, I'm still sort of working on cleaning up these tanks. And I've racked up a few kills by now. I've racked up a Tiger II, I've racked up the SU-100, a couple of Tiger IIs, and there's another Tiger II. So instead of shooting for the thing that is further away from me, I wait for the Type 61 to push so that I know that it is not going to shoot me back. I shoot the Type 61, and the King Tiger Porsche doesn't know where he is. Well, King Tiger prototype Porsche, you get the idea. And then I shoot him in the side with M82, and there goes everything. M82 is probably one of the better shells, although I would never shoot an angled side, I would always shoot flat sides, especially on tanks like T-54s, Tiger IIs. The mouse, you just can't use M82, but, for other tanks, especially, like the lower tier Russian ones, IS-2, IS-3, some of the other medium tanks, T-44, it's really, really good against, and it's just a shell that you can use to great effectiveness with. The M82 and the M46 in general are fairly decent tanks. They've just got to be put on in a good spot. You got to find a good spot for them, and a flanking position is ideal for the M46. You can't really sort of afford to take brawling positions because you don't have the reload, you don't have the armor, basically, to stand a brawl. You have, mobility, basically, and a good gun. And that's what you need to put to use. Would I buy this as a premium? I honestly would say no. If I had my time again, I would not buy this premium. The reason is quite simple. This is a rank 4. We currently have rank 7 in the game. This costed me, I think it was something like in between 4,000 and 6,000 GE. I'm not really sure how much it is. But it's very expensive for a rank 4. Granted that it should be a rank 5. Now, if Gaijin were to put it to rank 5 and perhaps down tier it to 6.7, then I would say that it would be worth it. But in its current state, I honestly don't think so. The Panther II is honestly whilst I hate playing the Panther 2 and I hate facing the Panther 2, I think it is slightly superior to the M46 in doing the same function, that is a flanking or support role. Whereas I think the M46 is sort of less suited to that, but kind of decent with a decent gun. I don't really feel like it trades off, but for the most part, the M46 is okay. The one in the regular tree is certainly worth giving a try, but for the most part, I would buy a T29 or something like that instead. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.